A few months ago, I was quick added on Snapchat by some girl who had a normal-looking Bitmoji and was fairly new to Snapchat. Her Snap score was only about 4 or 500. I accepted the request since I could always use some more friends and some more streaks. And she almost immediately texted me, despite the request being about 6 hours old when I first saw it. She texted me, "Hey cutie, what's up?" I was a bit confused by this message, as she had never seen a picture of me yet, and Bitmojis aren't necessarily accurate. I just replied, "Hello," and the conversation continued on as normal for about 10 to 15 minutes. Eventually, she sent me a picture of herself. I was a little surprised by it, as she looked exactly like one of my girlfriend's friends that I had met on a night out one time. I simply dismissed it as being coincidental. People often have some who look similar to themselves. She requested a picture of myself, and I just sent her a simple selfie of me. Again, she referred to me as being cute, but it wasn't as weird this time, because now she had actually seen me. I just thought of it as her being nice. She started flirting with me, even after I brought up how I had a girlfriend. She would say stuff like, "I wish you didn't have a girlfriend. You seem so sweet and cute. And the color of your eyes is making my heart flush." She would even get sexually explicit with some of her compliments. Out of nowhere, she sends me 2 more selfies of her. This time, they were 2 pictures of other women I had only met once or twice in my life. One of them was my girlfriend's other friend, and another was an old classmate of mine from 8th grade. Assuming it was my girlfriend doing some stupid loyalty test to me, I just said to her, "Nice try, Aurora," not my girl's real name. "You should know after 2 years of dating I'd never cheat on you." After I said this, she sent me a picture of yet another girl I hardly knew and said, "Who the fuck is Aurora?" Freaked out a bit now, I asked who this really was. She got really pissy with me, saying how every new person she meets accuses her of being a catfish because she always looks like somebody they know. I asked her if she had more pictures of herself, just to see if I'm not losing my mind. She sends me 5 more, each of yet another girl I knew. This time, some of them were a bit closer to me. I asked her where she got the pictures from, and she was still insistent of them being of her and promising she isn't a catfish. After about 10 minutes of me pressuring the catfish into giving herself up, she sent me a heart-chilling snap. It was a picture of the front of my old house, where I moved away from about 3 to 4 years before this incident. It was taken at the same time of day as this conversation was happening, so I assumed she had taken it at that very moment. I now knew it couldn't be my girlfriend just being creepy, as we weren't dating when I lived there, nor did she ever know about me living there. I figured it was a friend of mine just playing some sick prank with an alt account. But some of the photos they used were of girls that they didn't know about my acquaintances with. She followed it up with several pictures of another girl. This time they weren't just normal selfies or group photos, they were candid shots of nobody other than my girlfriend. Some of them were of her sitting at stoplights in her car. Others were of her walking into the school we go to. My heart dropped. I blocked the person immediately and phoned my girlfriend to tell her of the situation. She assured me that it wasn't her or one of her friends doing some kind of prank or loyalty test, and that she didn't know somebody had been taking photos of her. I haven't been added by anyone similar of nature, or heard from that account ever again. I still have no idea who was actually behind it. My friends that I or Aurora still had contact with have since privated their Instagram accounts, which is where the pictures the account sent me came from. And my girlfriend and I have disabled our SnapMaps to everyone, including our close friends. I still want to believe this was just some sick prank from one of my best friends or something, and not just some genuinely creepy person who is stalking me and my girlfriend. This happened about a month ago, but I couldn't decide if I should post it or not. I'm kind of a paranoid person and didn't know if I was going to deal with something like this again if I post about it. But since it's been about a month and nothing has happened again, I thought I'd share it. Here it is. I'm a 22-year-old girl from Bulgaria, studying art in another town. I was back home to my parents' house for Christmas vacation, so this happened a little after New Year's. My parents' house is in a little village near a big town where I grew up. We moved in the village, and we now live in a 2-story house. I was sitting one night in my room, drawing in my sketchbook and listening to some amazing horror stories on YouTube, as I usually do. It was about 2 o'clock, and I was immersed in a scary story, not knowing that I would be living in my own horror story real soon. It started with me receiving a notification from Snapchat that someone added me. I was kind of confused, but still opened it and saw that someone with the username Lappy789 added me as a friend. Now, I would like to explain why this was weird to me. I don't use Snapchat anymore. I just have it on my phone for no reason at all. None of my friends use it since Instagram got the story thing, and we all started to use that instead. I have very little friends on Snapchat, and none of them use it, so I didn't think that it was somebody I know. And I don't have my location on, or Bitmoji or whatever it's called, that can give away my location and my username to people nearby. I don't know if that's what it does. Like I said, I haven't been using Snapchat in a while. Oh, I also didn't have my username written anywhere on my social media. Moving on. Out of curiosity, I added Lappy789 and opened their profile to see if they had a picture or something that could tell me who this was. There was nothing, only their Snapchat score, which was about 7. I set my phone on my desk and started to rewind the video to listen to the parts that I missed while I was distracted with the phone. As I was getting ready to go back to sketching, when I got a notification that Lappy789 sent me a snap. I opened it, and it was a picture of grass, taken with flashlight. I looked at it confused, and then went to chat box to type, "What is this? Who are you?" Lappy789 received it. Then it said that they read it, but they didn't respond. At this point, I started to ask all of my friends if it was one of them, or if they had given my username to someone, but no one confessed. Next snap came, and it was a picture of what looked like a red tile. I was growing very impatient, and once again, I texted the person, asking who he is and if we know each other. They saw my message and didn't respond. Next snap came, and I was prepared to start screenshotting to show my boyfriend. It was a picture of what it looked like a little knob, but I couldn't see what it was exactly. I failed to screenshot it, so I had to replay the snap. When I screenshotted it, I went to look at the picture and realized that this was a little closing mechanism on our backyard gazebo. At this point, I'm slowly realizing that this person is sending me Snapchats from my backyard. And by the way, it's not so easy for someone to come to our backyard, as we have a very tall fence, and you have to take your time and scout the place around to find a possible way to climb the fence. And it was dark, so it would be difficult. That to me meant that whoever this was, they have been looking around during the day to find a way to get in. I stood up from my desk and ran to turn off all the lights. When it was dark, I tried to peek through my window shades to the backyard, but it was a very cloudy and dark night, so I didn't see anything. Next snap came, and like last time, I was ready to screenshot. When I opened the snap, I nearly screamed. It was a picture of the tip of a ceramic abstract sculpture that we have in our backyard. I ran out of my room, not knowing what to do. For some strange reason, I didn't want to wake up my dad and tell me what was going on. My mom was sleeping downstairs on the couch, and I was upstairs, trying to figure out how to open the super loud and screechy door to our terrace without waking up my parents and letting that freak know what I was doing. I battled with the door for about 30 seconds, but I managed to open it quietly and carefully stepped outside to look at the backyard. Didn't see anything. I looked and I looked, trying to stay as low as I can so that the snapper wouldn't see me, but I couldn't see anything. I went inside, once again trying my best to be as quiet as possible, when I received another Snapchat from Lappy. It was a picture of my mom, sleeping on the couch, taken from outside through a crack in the blinds. This freak took a photo of my mom. As shocked and terrified I was, I still managed to screenshot it. At this point, I lost it. I started screaming for my dad. He came out of the bedroom and tried to calm me down as I was trying to explain to him that there was somebody in our backyard. I could see that he didn't really take me seriously, but he went outside anyways, carrying his gun. My mom was awake now, trying to calm me down as I was hyperventilating, failing to explain to her what Snapchat was. My dad came inside after checking everywhere and said that he didn't find anybody. I showed them the pictures, and they seemed disturbed now, but said that it was probably a kid or one of my friends trying to mess with us. The thing is that I don't live in a big town. All of my friends live either in my hometown or other towns in the country, and I don't know anyone in the village that I live in now. So the idea that it might have been somebody I know didn't seem right to me. I went in my room when I calmed down and checked my phone, remembering that I didn't look if I had any new snaps after I showed my parents the pictures. I had 3 new snaps from Lappy. They were a picture of our front gate, which I couldn't screenshot, and 2 messages saying, "See you soon, bye." I immediately blocked the account. I barely slept that night. I texted and called all of my friends, begging them to confess if it was one of them, but nobody did. When I told what happened to my boyfriend, he asked everybody that he knew, but still nothing. We tried to find the account, but we soon found out that they had deactivated it. There was no one in the name of Lappy anymore. I deleted Snapchat that night and don't think I'll ever use it again. The next day, I went outside to look around and see if the creep left something behind, and I saw footprints on a little muddy patch near the place that they took the photo of my mom. My dad doesn't seem to believe it was the footprints of the intruder, saying that it was probably one of us stepping there, but I'm pretty sure they weren't ours. To this day, I still don't know who it was. I've asked everyone that I know, but nothing has come up of it. I still wonder what their intentions were. Were they trying to scare me? Were they stalking me? Who were they? How did they find me? How did they enter my backyard? Do they still send me Snapchats? I wouldn't know. I deleted the app. Not even a month had passed, so every small detail was still fresh in my mind. I had been using dating apps on and off for years. I always thought Tinder sucked, both the app and its customer service, and I was never a fan of Hinge or OkCupid. Bumble was my go-to. My bio was simple. I mentioned my height, a short 4 feet 11 inches, made a joke about it, and left my Instagram and Snapchat handles at the bottom. Because of that, I got a decent number of random follow requests on Instagram, and even more ads on Snapchat. Usually, I would only add people back on Snap if I recognized their name from a recent Bumble conversation, or if their Bitmoji seemed normal. I know that sounds weird, but I dealt with a lot of disgusting, obnoxious guys on the app. While Bumble wasn't as bad as Tinder, I still came across the typical douchey frat boys asking for hookups or sending explicit messages. When that happened, I usually messed with them a little before unmatching. Then 3, almost 4 weeks ago, I matched with a guy who was actually attractive. He sent a pickup line that was kind of creative, and it caught my attention. Before long, he asked for my Snap. Seconds later, he added me himself after seeing it in my bio. I figured why not, and added him back. He started messaging me right away. I screenshotted his first 2 Bumble profile pictures and sent them to my girlfriends, mentioning how hot he was. My friend Gianna immediately replied, "That's a catfish. I matched with him too." I decided to mess with him. As our conversation on Snap progressed, his messages became increasingly sexual. So, I started saying the most unappealing things I could think of, and he started getting noticeably irritated. Then, I told him I'd come over if he sent me a selfie. Of course, he didn't. Instead, he just replied, "What's your address?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I asked my girls what I should do. Before they could reply, I got a notification. He had screenshotted my Snapchat profile. Panic set in. I suddenly remembered my location was set to public on SnapMap. The houses in my area were spaced out enough that, if he were looking, he could easily figure out which one was mine. My friends tried to calm me down, assuring me that he wouldn't actually show up. They did a good job until my doorbell rang. It was past 10 p.m. I was home alone, not expecting my parents or siblings. My stomach dropped. I turned off my bedroom light and TV, making my room completely dark, hoping to create the illusion that no one was home. My phone buzzed with a new Snap request. The username, "It's me, add me back." I blocked the account immediately. 2 minutes later, another request came in. The username, "I'm outside your house." I screenshotted it and sent it to my friends and family, my hands shaking as I broke down in tears. I blocked that account too. A long, tense silence followed. I prayed he had given up. I texted my friends and family, too terrified to answer their calls, afraid any sound would give away my presence. Then, another Snap request came through. The username, "I'm looking right at you." Instinctively, I turned toward my window. I wish I hadn't. A man stood there, staring into my room, grinning. My entire body went cold. I don't even remember making the decision to run, but I bolted out of my house, screaming at the top of my lungs as I sprinted down the street. 2 neighbors rushed outside. I practically collapsed into one of their arms, sobbing. They called the police, but by the time officers arrived, the man was gone. Even after the police checked the area, I had no choice but to go back inside that night. I locked myself in my parents' bedroom, the only room upstairs with a lock, and lay awake, listening, waiting. Then I heard it. Tiny, soft footsteps outside my door. The faintest creaks of wood shifting under weight. I stared at the bottom of the door, my heart pounding, waiting for a shadow, for movement. My fingers shook as I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. In a hushed whisper, I told the operator that someone was inside my house and that I was alone. But maybe I didn't whisper quietly enough. Footsteps shuffled on the other side of the door. Then they moved, fast, away from the room, down the stairs. Moments later, I heard the front storm door slam shut. The police returned, this time refusing to let me stay there alone. I called Gianna, who was still awake, and she told me to come to her place for the rest of the weekend. The officers escorted me there after I locked up my house. I don't know what would have happened if I had fallen asleep that night, but I'm so grateful I didn't.